Hi, Andy Amrine, doing our next segment of the Helpful Handy Andy Tips. And here we are in December, and what better thing to do than to do Christmas lighting decorations. So we waited till it was a nice 30-degree day outside here, and it's a perfect weather, perfect day, a little bit of snow on the bushes, but what better way to get in the mood for Christmas? So we're going to be decorating all these bushes, shrubs, and so forth, and making them look, decorative and nice for the holidays. We're going to start with showing some of the different products. We're going to be using LED lights this year. LEDs over the last couple of years have really become out into the forefront of the Christmas lighting. We'll show you some C9, C7 bulbs, some of the old twinkle bulbs and so forth, but we want to emphasize how much better the LED lights are. And what we have here for you today is we brought some of the LED lights, and LED lights you can get in all different size light sets, whether they're in a 70 light set, a 50 light set, 100 light set, but the most economical way is going to be to use a 200 light count. And on these 200 light count, with these LEDs, what you're going to find is the bulbs, none of the bulbs are replaceable. They're all in one straight series, but they use next to nothing in electricity. So you could decorate your whole house with LEDs and you'll probably never even see a difference in your electric bill. Another big thing with the LED sets is how many you could plug in together. On this 200 count LED set, we could actually plug 20 sets of these together on a single run and not worrying about any fuses, any blown fuse, circuit breakers, or anything like that. You go into the 70 and the 100 count, you're plugging 40 sets in together. And if you remember with some of these old twinkle light sets, on these old twinkle light sets, you were lucky if you were able to plug 5 to 7 light sets in, or a bulb would come out and then the set wouldn't work, or a bulb would come loose, or one bulb would burn out, the rest of the sets would burn out. That's the same with any of these type of sets. And here's a set that I dug out. This set is probably a good 20-30 years old. If you remember the old cones and so forth on it, on these light sets, if one bulb burnt out, the whole set was out and it was almost impossible to fix or get back together again. You never have to worry about any of that with these LED type of lights, because the LEDs, they're the future. And also I even pulled out an old C9 light set, and on these old C9 light sets, these are the old big bulbs, and you have to worry about the cords, you have to worry about the plugs, you have to worry about the bulbs. And on these you could only plug 3 sets in together before you started blowing fuses. And if you're still using the old set, that's fine. It's very traditional, it looks nice and so forth, but you can get an LED light set now that would look just like your C7 and C9 Christmas light sets. They're just coming out on the market for this Christmas. Next year you're going to be seeing another whole batch of net lights and icicle lights and everything that you would see in regular traditional twinkle light sets or C7, C9 light sets. Next year you're going to see all of that in your LED light sets, saving you energy, saving you time, saving you frustration. It's just going to be the way to go on the LEDs. And you'll see when it gets dark out, when we get these plugged in, these are a nice, crisp, clear white light. A lot of people never went into the LEDs because of the bluish cast to it. That was the first set of LEDs that were out a few years ago. They were what they call cool white, and they did have the bluish tint. These are a warm white. You would not know a difference between these and if I plugged the traditional twinkle lights in next to it, other than they're better. They save energy, they save time, and you're not going to have bulbs burning out, loosening, shorting out the set, anything like that. So we're going to be doing the house in all LED light sets here. Also, what I wanted to get into was going to be some of the cords. We're going to move down here and talk about different extension cords. I brought quite an assortment of cords here, and first thing you want to do when you're getting into Christmas light cords is you pull out an old cord set you got to check it for shortages. Here's a cord set that I pulled out of the shop, and it's all electrical tape together, electrical tape here. It's an old worn out light set, and when you're doing Christmas lights in particular, everything is outside, of course, so moisture is your biggest enemy. You have to worry about moisture. And there's no bigger way than to have a moisture problem is to have a cord set that has a lot of tape on it. And this set isn't even a grounded cord. And then here we have, these are really indoor type of light sets. None of these kind of light sets are grounded, and without them being grounded, you don't have the safety of shockproof and everything on a cord set. So you really shouldn't be using any of the 2-prong type cords. You should be going everything with your 3-prong cords, and with the 3-prong cords, make sure there's no cuts in them, marks in them, kinks in them, tape all over them. So use the good outdoor cords and make sure they're grounded. And you could get cords that have lighted ends so you know that there's power. You could get cords that every 6 feet have different plugs put on them and have the plug guards on them to help with the decorating. And also you can get cords that have multi-taps already built on the ends of them, so you're not having to get into a cord and then putting a plug adapter on them. And all of that is fine putting one on, but it's just one more location that moisture is going to get into the cords, and it's going to cause it to short it out. And then as you can see, there's ways of storing cords. So after Christmas is over, you should consider getting cord reels, extension cord reels. These are ways that I use to store our cords so I don't have tangled messes next year and every time that I'm getting ready to start doing our decorating on it. So it's just saving you in the future on it. And then with cords, like I said, there's even green ones. So if you're trying to hide them in the grass, in the bushes, anywhere, you can get different colored cord sets to help you with your decorating needs. Last thing I brought a lot of different ways of lighting the sets, and adapters and plugs and timers. And this is a sensor timer. You could set this timer plugging it in, plugging your light sets into it, and with this dial you can have it go on and off. But you also can set it for a dusk to dawn, meaning that when it gets dark, the Christmas lights turn on. When it gets light again, the Christmas lights are going to turn off again. So you don't have to worry about every night turning them on and turning them off. And there's different style of these timers, these sensor timers, or you can just set it to be on for 2 hours or 4 hours or 6 hours. These are some indoor type of timers. Some people do try and use them outside, but these are more set for an indoor because there's not going to be any waterproof capability on it. Also, a lot of the different plug adapters that people use when decorating. This is a plug adapter to screw into a bulb socket like a lamp post, and then be able to plug your light sets into it. These are plug adapters to screw into a lamp post. Still use the bulb, still use cords. These are adapters to go from a 3-prong cord to a 2-prong cord. Then there's different adapters to go from single outlets to multi outlets. And everybody doing decorating, you never have enough cords, you never have enough outlets. So all these different kind of plug adapters are needed at times if not planning it out. This is a newer device. This is called a plug switch. You plug this into the outlet, plug your lights into here, and there's just a switch for turning it on and off. These are great for behind the Christmas tree indoors, so you're not having to climb back there pulling the cords out on and off all the time. Or here's another new one for you. This is a power hub, and how this works is this is a remote control system. So you could plug this into an outlet, plug your lights into it, and you could use this outside. It's a grounded, safety-proof device, and then you could sit at your kitchen table hitting the remote just like you would to start your car or lock or unlock your doors. This will turn your Christmas lights on and off. Then you could have 2 or 3 of these set up around your yard using the same remote for turning the Christmas lights on and off all the time. So there's a bunch of different ways, newer ways of decorating, doing your lights. Last thing I want to show you is a tool. This is called a Light Keeper Pro, and what this tool is, this is for fixing Christmas lights. It doesn't work on LEDs, but not a lot of people have the LED cords yet. But say you have one of the traditional twinkle light sets and you have half your light that's out and it's already on the tree, you don't know what to do, you don't want to undecorate it, you pull out one of the unlit bulbs, stick the socket onto the tool, pull the trigger 4 or 5 times and it re-energizes the light set to fix your cord set. Or if you have the whole set off, you could plug it into here, pull the trigger 4, 5, 6 times and it re-energizes the light set. So it's a really good tool to have when you're doing decorating and you have the old traditional twinkle light sets and you're frustrated with them working and not working. This is a way to help win the battle and have the light sets energized and recharged and ready to go for you. So this is a bunch of the tools that are out there now. So let's start decorating.
Merry Christmas, Bethel Park. I'm Dave Cable, the director of BPTV, and I'm here to read for you the holiday classic, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even, Oh, hey George.
I'm not George. I'm the ghost of Christmas present.
I don't know, you look an awful lot like my volunteer George.
Well, you are gravely mistaken. I am a ghost.
All right then, Mr. Ghost of Christmas Present. Why don't you come up here on the hot seat and explain to me why you had to come in here and interrupt my holiday special?
I would just like to wish everybody in Bethel Park a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year, and to remind you all to watch all the great holiday programming right here on BPTV.
You know, you didn't have to pretend to be a ghost to come in here and say that.
But I am a ghost.
So, do you think you could look a little more festive?
Sure.
You know, that's not too bad.
You should see some of my other tricks I got up my sleeve.
When you're starting with any of the light sets, there's 2 ends to a cord. There's the male plug and there's the female plug. What you have to do is you have to plan ahead and think about where you're going to be plugging everything into, and starting with the opposite end as to where you're going to plug. What you don't want to end up with 2 male plugs next to each other trying to fit them, because they're not going to plug together, or 2 female ends, 2 opposite ends next to each other. You want to make sure that you're putting the 2 proper ends together, so you're eliminating certain adapters that may or may not be available. So also with the bigger sets, what you have to understand is you got to keep them from getting tangled. So whether you're running them on a spool or whether you're just wrapping them around your arm or looping them or something, just trying to keep them from getting all tangled up into knots, so you're not stepping on them, tripping on them, or getting them tangled before you ever even put them on a bush itself. So it just takes a little bit of patience, a little bit of planning ahead, and you keep everything nice and tight and secure as you're going around the bushes. You're always having to plan where your male plug is on it, because that way you're not trying to outguess where the extension cords are going to go. So wherever you think you're going to end, you know, that's where the male plug is, and then we start from there, wrapping around the tree or bush or shrub or whatever it is that you're trying to decorate. There's a lot of time this time of year I always get people coming in and asking for plug configurations that don't exist, because they didn't start at the right spot on the cord and they're trying to double up on things. So think about where you're going to end and where you're going to start. And we're ending at the string with the female end, and that's how we're plugging the first set into the second set. And with this next set, this is a smaller bush, so I actually have to unwind and get to the opposite end to start, so I end up right. Start making the connection, and I want to tug the connection up in the tree so it's more waterproof and less chance of it getting any water in and shorting out. And some people like to put the lights deep inside the bushes. I myself like to have them more at the end. I just personally think it makes the tree look fuller and bigger when I have more lights on the outside than tucked onto the inside, but it's a personal preference on where the lights are going on the bush. Put them farther enough in that they're not going to fall off. You can wrap them around a branch. Try not to break too many of the branches. Your bushes are brittle in the winter. But they doesn't have to be too tightly wound. So at night they show up nice and bright. And I am kind of anxious for it to get dark, so we can see how all this looks lit. This is where we're going to be starting on to our next bush. We'll be able to make one full wrap before we get the next set out. This is one of our bigger bushes we're doing. And I always try, when I'm looking at light counts, I look at the height of a tree or a bush, and ideally the perfect number of lights, you'd want 100 lights per foot of tree. So if you have a 2-foot tree, it's 200 lights. This is about a 6-foot tree. So on a 6-foot tree, we're going to have 600 lights on this tree when we're done. And that'll make it nice and bright for us.
Her parents weren't even sure she'd make it to her 5th birthday. But because someone like you took the time to give their unique gift of blood, this little girl was given a second chance at life. Help save the life of someone right here in Western Pennsylvania. To find a nearby location where you can donate blood, visit centralbloodbank.org or call 1-866-DONORS1.
As far as planning ahead, if you know that you're decorating year after year after year, and you want to try and avoid having all sorts of extension cords sitting around that you're trying to plug into and going with 3 or 4 cords and timers and so forth, you might consider getting yourself some permanent outlets. And what I installed here this past summer are some permanent outlets in the yard, and I put a couple of them in a couple strategic locations. And yes, it's something that most homeowners maybe won't want to try and do, but you could hire an electrician for a nominal fee, and they could run conduit wiring and put what they call outdoor circuits. And these are weatherproof circuits. They're called ground fault circuits. That way, if water does get into these outlets, it trips the breaker instead of starting any fires. But with these, then it really cut down. I used to have to decorate with 10, 12 different extension cords. Now I generally decorate with 1 or 2 extension cords because we have the outlets pre-built into the yard, and that way whether I'm decorating for Christmas or a 4th of July party or anything, we have outlets already situated around the house that are very easy to access and really help with the decorating and cutting down on the amount of extension cords running through the yard. We're in luck. It's been a couple hours. We've gotten on all the light sets that we had. We have 12 rolls of 200 light sets that we put on, all LED, and they all work. Only a couple extension cords. Everything is plugged in, everything's on. It's starting to get dark, so I got some cleanup to do. I got some extra cords and all the boxes and all the gadgets and so forth to clean up and get the yard looking good. And we're just going to wait till it gets dark and really see how everything is. We'll adjust from there. We'll spread some out, tighten some up, see if I need an extra set somewhere or not. But pretty happy with the day. Nice weather, a little cooler, but beautiful day to be putting up Christmas lights. So really gets me in the spirit for Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all, Happy Holidays, and thank you for watching the latest segment of Handy Andy.
Merry Christmas, Bethel Park. I'm Dave Cable, the director of BPTV, and I'm here to read for you the holiday classic, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even, Oh, hey, George.
I'm not George. I'm the ghost of Christmas present.
I don't know, you look an awful lot like my volunteer George.
Well, you are gravely mistaken. I am a ghost.
All right then, Mr. Ghost of Christmas Present. Why don't you come up here on the hot seat and explain to me why you had to come in here and interrupt my holiday special?
I would just like to wish everybody in Bethel Park a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year, and to remind you all to watch all the great holiday programming right here on BPTV.
You know, you didn't have to pretend to be a ghost to come in here and say that.
But I am a ghost.
So, do you think you could look a little more festive?
Sure.
You know, that's not too bad.
You should see some of my other tricks I got up my sleeve.
Thanks to your generosity, Marines have delivered Christmas to children in need since 1947.